Hi, I'm Veronica and welcome to my channel. Today is the second part of a two-part video where I show you my favorite somatic movement, which usually really helps me to release tension from the pelvic area and from all along the back. You might find that the Z-seat, which is necessary to make this movement, is not 100% comfortable for you. And in this case, you might always elevate your seat with a pillow. Otherwise, you don't need props for this practice. And I'll show you the second movement, which has more to do with the rotation of the spine. And here you're playing with moving the entire body together as one unit in a full spiral, and then going slightly against it with different sections. So in the most basic form, you're leaning a little bit with one hand outside of that externally rotated leg. Externally rotated, that is the one that looks like when you sit cross-legged. And the other hand will be in front of the shoulder, just resting there comfortably. Now you're going to create a twist from here. So the twist you might want to initiate it from the head, or you might initiate it from the hip. It's entirely different chapter, entirely different matter how you want to play with it. But let's say we're starting it from the hip because I really want you to realize that the pelvis is a part of this movement. So your pelvis lifts and starts rotating in a spiraling motion. As the pelvis lifts, then that obviously means that the spine is involved as well. So you carry on with that twist through the torso, through the whole spine. And at the end of this movement, you can turn your head all the way behind you, maybe even turn your gaze all the way behind you, and notice the farthest thing you can see behind. And then when you return, again, you start with that pelvis. First, that hip bone travels towards the floor. And again, of course, it not necessarily reaches to the floor, but it moves in that spiraling motion towards the floor. And then the spine follows together with the whole torso. The head comes back last. You could try that a few times, starting from lifting that hip bone forward and to the twist. You're twisting over that externally rotated leg. The torso, head, and eyes at the end. And then you reverse it. First, the buttock reaches towards the floor. Then the torso returns to the center. The head returns to the center. Okay, so you could do that a few times. And once you've got a full hold of that, that's when you can start playing with reversing it. So your hip, your pelvis together with the torso will do the twist, but your head will make the opposite movement. So if your pelvis and torso twist over the externally rotated leg, you're at the same time looking over the other shoulder, as if you wanted to see the foot of the internally rotated leg. And then you're undoing it by coming back to the center. So your torso with the pelvis is twisting in one direction, but your head and your gaze is turning in opposite direction. So you're looking over the shoulder. What's happening there behind me? Over the shoulder. And then you return. You might want to add the breath to that. For example, exhale when you twist the torso and inhale when you return to the center. And here again, it's not really about making this movement as big as possible. It's about finding the smoothness in the motion. You don't really need to do it many times. 3, 4, 5, 6 times is enough. And then the last time you're gonna do it, you're coming back to that full movement, the entire spiral involving the pelvis, the torso, and the head. And it might be that you notice that this movement has become bigger, or that you can see more behind you than when you did that the first time. So it really releases a lot of things along the entire torso. And then, of course, you can try the same on the other side. So first you find your comfortable seat with one leg internally rotated, one leg externally rotated. Your hand is outside of externally rotated leg, and you're not really leaning on it too much. It's there just for like extra support. The other hand is in front of the shoulder. And the first movement is that full spiral starting from the pelvis, moving through the torso all the way to the head and to the eyes. So your hip bone lifts forward and moves across over that externally rotated leg. Then the head, the torso follows, and you're looking over the shoulder in that full twist, looking as far as you can, the farthest place you can see behind you on the wall. And then you return, starting with that hip bone, which is high up now. It's kind of returns as close towards the floor as it can. So it's the pelvis returns. It takes with it the torso, then the head last. You can try that again, starting with the pelvis, moving in that spiraling motion, almost like a corkscrew through the torso, through the head, even including the gaze all the way behind you. And then you're undoing it. Once you've got the hold of that, and of course you can repeat it more times if you need to, you can start playing with reversing it. So if your pelvis together with the torso rotates, twists over the externally rotated leg, your head alone, your head with the gaze will be turning in opposite direction. So your torso twists and you look over the other shoulder, and then you return to the center. Keep slow, torso centered, head centered. You could use the exhalation to rotate the torso and turn the head over the shoulder, and then inhalation to return to the center. And again, it's not necessarily about making it as big as possible. It's definitely not about doing it fast, because then you're missing the whole point. You really want it to be smooth, synchronized with the breath, really even, exactly at the same time the torso rotates as your head turns, and exactly at the same time everything returns to the center. So you keep going like this, searching for that smoothness. A couple of times, you really don't need to repeat it many times. And then the last time you go again for that full spiral, and you might notice you see much more behind you, or maybe that this movement has become more smooth or easier or more accessible. Then you return, and obviously at the end again, if you need to do something to release it all, for example, keep the feet a bit wider apart and let your knees drop from side to side in windshield wipers, or maybe stretch out the legs and roll them in and out, you could do that. I hope you enjoyed this somatic practice, and if you discovered something new, if you increased your range of movement, or you felt more ease, please share in the comments. And if you found this video because you are currently struggling with pain, then please check out my free downloadable audio first aid for pain, which you can download from my website here. I look forward to see you next time.